With a lot of news with the market today, some key deals with Dollar General and Dollar Tree, and some earnings like Walmart and other stocks, and Palantir dropping a bunch. Do we think it reached the bottom, or is it going to keep going down? Today, I'm going to be telling you guys everything that happened today with the stock market, what to expect for tomorrow, and also show you guys some charts, some supports and resistance, and kind of where the stocks are going. Welcome back to another video. NextGen Wealth Tips here. I'm not here to tell you guys what to buy, hold, or sell, but I'm here to help you guys become better investors and be updated with the market news. With that being said, use some of those links, Robinhood, Coinbase. You get free stocks and coins, and with that Coinbase link, you can get one free Bitcoin potentially. That's like 98,000. Speaking of, Bitcoin is kind of going up a little bit. Got MSTR up a decent amount, 323 for MSTR and 98,000 for Bitcoin. With that being said, for today, we got Apple doing okay, Nvidia doing okay. We had a good dip buy situation we're gonna be talking about later on with Nvidia, and also some good points to get in with Nvidia. Also, SMCI is a good stock to day trade too. I'm gonna be showing you guys some ways to get in and out of that one. But without further ado, let's get started with some news. So to start, I just want to say there's a crash with the Delta airline a couple days ago. Everybody survived, which was great. There has been a lot of plane crashes recently, but they're offering 30K to the passengers. Just wanted to throw that out there. But with that being said, we do have the SPY. We have a slight decline of 0.7% right now. Keep in mind that we still have 2 hours of a market open until the bell, so keep that in mind. But the SPY dropped 0.7, and they just retreated from the recent highs. We'll be looking at some price targets for that. The Dow Jones fell by 1.4%, and then the NASDAQ decreased by 0.7. So we are kind of looking a little bit bearish, but not really, because we were just at highs. So, we kind of got to consolidate a little bit. That being said, we do got Walmart earnings, and we did fall with the earnings. With that being said, the company has achieved $180.6 billion in total revenue, a 4.1 increase from the previous year, surpassing analyst expectations of 180.07 billion. The earnings per share, adjusted EPS, stood at 0.66%, slightly above the projected 0.64. The corporate sales, Walmart US saw a 4.6% rise in corporate sales, driven by increased customer transactions and unit volumes. The e-commerce, so you guys know they got online, they got Walmart.com. The sales grew by 16%, highlighting the company's robust online presence, which is great. The global advertising segment experienced a 29% increase, with Walmart Connecting in the US growing by 24%. So we had a decent positive earnings report, but as you guys seen, we did get a drop. So let's talk more about that. So the projected was 3 to 4%, slightly below the expected 4.2%, which is okay for the earnings or revenue growth. Sorry, the adjusted EPS was ranged from 2.50 to 2.60, falling short of analysts of 2.77. So that could be one thing too. There's another one talking about the egg prices dropping. Could also drop. I think it says it right here. Higher egg prices drove up inflation and Walmart grocery revenue, basically showing that more eggs, bringing up the revenue for Walmart. The thing about eggs is, like, I feel like you can really thug it out and not really buy eggs. So if you're really tripping about the egg prices, just take a little break from eggs. Eggs is a pretty good source of protein and stuff like that, but at the same time, man, that shit was like what, $2 a couple months ago. But with that being said, we do have a cautious outlook led to a decline in Walmart's stock price, with shares dropping over 6% following the announcement. With that being said, I do recommend being a little bit patient, because you got to look at this candlestick right here. This isn't like an accurate candlestick. We could look more on the charts later, but basically there's a gap that goes downwards, and this is like the 6% gap that they were talking about. And later on, we've seen it kind of fill the gap, but then kind of fall down a little bit more. One thing that you want to pay attention to is that if it doesn't reach more than 50% of the gap, which it has right here, that we will continue bearish. But at the same time, we did hit that 50%, but we did have another sell-off, and we just been neutral. So honestly, this is what you can really see as just like a balance point. So we might be trading at around that 97 level for a little bit, and then you might see it come back up and break that 100 once again. I do recommend getting into Walmart as a long-term stock, like having this in your long term. and having a good buying opportunity. But the 1 year, look at the 1 year, just consistently upward. 5 years, consistently upward too. Like, this is a great long-term stock. And just like, we've seen previously with Palantir, it's just upwards, and you are going to have kind of like bad earnings and drag it down. But as you can see, like, we had some gaps down and then it fills it up over time. So this would be a good buying opportunity if you want to get into a long-term stock, especially down here at that 95 level, just to get in. But with that being said, I do recommend being a little bit patient, but Walmart is that good long term. So if you guys don't have any long terms, I do recommend looking at Walmart and some other stocks like Robinhood, you know, things like, and then stocks that move a little bit more, like Apple, Nvidia. You're gonna see it go down a little bit, but it's pretty decent. But with that being said, this isn't really gonna bring down the stock anymore. You might see it back down to that 95, fill some gaps downwards, and we might break that 95, maybe get to 90, but honestly, that's highly unlikely. I do think that in like a couple of weeks, we will see it back up at those highs, that 104 to 105. So just keep that on your mind. But that being said, like, I think Walmart is still going to move decently, and we're only like a few bucks away from, that $100 level, and then maybe breaking above that $100 level, getting those highs again. So don't keep this like as a bearish sign. I think Walmart is going to keep on going up and just keep looking great. But with that being said, some other things, we got some unemployment claims. The latest data revealed an increase in unemployment benefit applications, suggesting a potential uptick in layoffs. While the numbers remain relatively low historically, they indicate a slight softening in the labor market. So the labor market isn't looking as good as it did before, but it might continue looking bad, and or it might continue looking good, But we did have another meeting, and it kind of showed that, rate cuts might get changed a little bit more. We might get more rate cuts later on, kind of. So keep that on your mind too, because that's kind of, that was kind of yesterday, but that's why the stock market was looking pretty strong, because everybody, like, the investor sentiment was pretty great. The other thing is manufacturing growth. Reports showed that manufacturing in the mid-Atlantic region countries to grow, and a slower pace than economics has anticipated. So keep that in mind. Another thing on tariffs, President Trump's recent proposal to impose tariffs on imports, including pharmaceuticals, semiconductor chips, and cars, have introduced uncertainty into the market. These potential trade barriers could impact various sectors. Keep that in mind if you guys are investing in any pharmaceutical stock, any car stock, Ford. Tesla might move a little bit with this because Tesla is still on the EV market, but keep that in mind if you guys are there. Alibaba also had earnings, and they surged by 8% after reporting quarterly profits that exceeded expectations. The company also highlighted advancements in its artificial intelligence and further boosting their investors' confidence. So Alibaba is looking great. That's a China stock if you guys didn't know, but a lot of people were pumped up for this earnings, and it did pretty well. 8% increase is insane. But that being said, we do got Federal Reserve stance. The recent economic data, including rising unemployment claims and moderated manufacturing growth, may influence the Federal Reserve decisions on interest rates. While the Fed refrained from cutting rates in its last meeting, ongoing economic developments could show like more cuts, basically what I said before. But with everything that's coming out, like, we might get some rate cuts coming out soon. But that being said, let's talk about something with Apple, because a lot of people like Apple. So basically, in short, Apple in India, India is a big, like, a great market for Apple. With that being said, the new iPhone might not do so hot in India. So they announced the iPhone 16e. With that being said, they got the iPhones like the iPhone SE, iPhone 13, iPhone 14, and the iPhone 15 that is doing great. And that's kind of like boosted their sales in 2022. As you guys can see, they went from 2.7 million to 6.7 million within 2 years. And it shows with these iPhones kind of coming out. With that being said, they're saying, since you guys seen the price target for the iPhone 16e, it's kind of not really, like, you're comparing it to, if you compare it to the iPhone 14, iPhone 15, and the iPhone 13, and even the old iPhone SE, the price is relatively high. So they're just saying that, you might not get that many sales with the 16e in India, but it might not really affect anything because they're still going to be buying the old phones, and Apple's still going to benefit overall. And if they can make like an initiative to keep on making the SE the 15 and maybe the 14. Then they got to make 13, but it won't really drag down the stock price anymore. But this is just an article that kind of showed interest. Another thing with Apple is that American Airlines joins rivals in integrating Apple AirTags to track lost bags. So the thing about this is that you guys know how expensive the AirTags are, and they can do like a decent deal with Apple. So keep this on your mind and on your radar, because this could bring the Apple stock up, especially if they do this deal. Because honestly, like, a lot of people lose bags, and having an AirTag to kind of track your bag is probably the best thing ever. But I think the deal would have to be separate, because they got to like name each AirTag. They got to understand. So it's probably a whole nother process. But if Apple could make the process better with the deal, like tracking bags like pretty easily, you got to have a name and everything. I think it's going to do well for Apple, especially if the deal goes by good, and especially if they get multiple airlines doing this. It's just going to be like better for it. But that being said, let's pull out the charts, because we got something to talk about. So this is kind of, I don't think the news is like fully out yet, but if we look at Dollar Tree, sorry. So Dollar Tree and Dollar General recently just had a price or a deal with Dollar Tree and Dollar General. With that being said, keep this on your mind and on your radar, because I think a buyout for Family Dollar. So this stock rise from 72 to 76 right now, and we might even see it after the bell hit 80 and even more with this deal coming out. So keep these on your mind and on your radar for something to look at, because this can really bring it up a bunch and make you a decent amount of money short term, and or even if you're in it with the long term, man, this is gonna bring you a good point maybe to get out and or just stay in, because you might see it go up a little bit more, maybe to the $80 mark for both of them, and then you might see it spike down a little bit more. So you could sell it at 80, and then once the big sales come out, a lot of people might be taking profits with the options and everything like that. You can buy it again and get into your long term once again and just make a little bit more money. But I just wanted to mention that deal. Another thing I wanted to mention is Palantir, because Palantir, we might have potentially hit a bottom already, and the bottom is 96 bucks. 96 was a key level. Another key level was 100, of course. It broke that 100 instantly, and then that 96 was a key level. I think 97 and then 96 was a key level, and then bounced off to 96. So we might have hit a bottom with Palantir, but just keep your eyes out. Don't buy in fast, because it might still have some dropping points. Like I said earlier, like the big candlesticks, like we kind of want to look at this as a big candlestick, kind of like a 4-hour time frame candlestick, and you want to kind of use this as reference, because you want to see it kind of fill this gap up at least 50%. So if we can get up to like that 115 level and then break past that 115 to 116, we might be able to hit some highs once again, and or we might try to fill this gap up to this candle right here, and then we might either break it and or break below it even more. So I do recommend being very, very patient with Palantir, but at the same time, we might have hit a bottom, because Palantir is honestly a strong stock, and right now people are saying it is overpriced. Don't listen to people when they say it's cheap right now, because it's really not. I think people usually come out with videos when it was here. Like, of course, if we didn't have this bad news, it'll probably keep going up, but it is an overpriced stock, and it's kind of like the old Nvidia, But with that being said, I do recommend having your patience with Palantir, especially if you're trying to get in at that $100 level. Just wait, because we might even see it fill some more gaps downwards, because it still has this gap to fill downwards to that 83. So keep that on your mind, because it might go all the way down to 83 and then we hit a bottom. But that 96 was decent. As you guys can see, it was a decent level right here. So maybe we just bounced off of it, and then you're going to see it continue go upwards. But do have your patience and take your time with this one. And yeah, but with that being said, I do want to talk about some stocks. So like I said earlier, we did have a decent dip buy situation with, oh my God, charts are messy, with Nvidia. With that being said, this does this like literally every single day. This is when I get in. Sometimes, you might be out of the money, or not out of the money, but you might lose some money because somebody go up and then bounce down like you've seen today, hit like a double bottom. But with that being said, normally it would open up. Sometimes it'll open up red and or it'll open up green, and then it bounces down to like a low. As you guys can see right here at around like 3 o'clock to 3:10, hits a low. We could show it here too. At around 3:10, it hit a low. And then some other times, it might happen a little bit later too, but we normally hit like a low, and then it normally goes up higher. And then the next day you can sell it at a pretty high point. This day wasn't really that good to really really use it as an example, but this day was decent because you could have bought it down here and then sold it up here, and or held it a little bit longer and sold it up here. But honestly, just have your patience with Nvidia. I got in down here today, so probably gonna hold it overnight and just see how it moves. But I do recommend selling right away because the past 2 days we've been having a big sell-off. So just sell it right at market open. That's normally a pretty good premium. Or sometimes you might be unlucky and you might sell it right away and then it goes up even more. But honestly, it's better just to risk it, especially looking at history and stuff like that. But with that being said, I do want to look at that 140 level once again to the upside, and then hopefully testing that 141 because we kind of broke off the pre-market. So test that 141 and then go up higher, maybe even 142 with this stock. I do think we can see 150 in the next month, but we just got to see how Nvidia moves. But we've been pretty green with Nvidia. Things like the tariffs and stuff like that, DeepSeek, that is really affecting the market that much no more. So that's kind of why we're bullish on Nvidia. But I do recommend getting into those dip buys. Don't buy, like, I know some people, they'll buy around here for a call option for the next day and you're not really going to make money. Another thing is the SPY. We did bounce off of the highs, bounce off the 613 level, and we just been bearish, and then market open pretty bearish too. You could have made a decent amount of money with this push right here. That was like a $2 to $3 push. It would have made you a decent amount of money. But with that being said, I do recommend looking at that 607 level to get in again. Honestly, the 609 isn't too bad to get in, but honestly, I'd just be very patient the way stocks are moving, and we're just pretty slow for the day. A lot of things are red, especially Tesla. Microsoft isn't moving as good as it used to. We're not really at that rebound stage. Before we were at that rebound stage where we came back like 5-6%, but we're not really there no more, and we're kind of just slowly going up. So we might see it back at that 613 later on. But I'm not saying that, tomorrow it's going to be back at 613. And we might see it test at 612, but honestly, I think we might be able to see 611 tomorrow if we keep on going up. If we keep going down, I do recommend looking at that 607 level. And then if we finally break that level, because we tested it multiple times, break that level down, we can see 606, 605. And honestly, I think if we go below 605, we're going to need like a big push down like this one right here. But keep that on your mind. Tesla is a decent one, but honestly, I do recommend having your patience with it. Tesla is highly volatile, and you got to be very, very careful with this one because you can make a bunch of money overnight. And then as you guys can see, you could have bought a put option, boom. But at the same time, it's really hard to read, and you got to be updated with the news and just see what other investors are seeing, honestly. But with that being said, to the upside, I do want to look at that 355 level, 360. And if we could break that 360, we could test these highs from yesterday or from pre-market to 364. And if we break that 364, we could probably see 370, but probably not this week. Tomorrow's Friday, so you might have that Friday sell-off, but it honestly just depends. Market's going to open up probably green, and then we're going to sell off later on, just depending on how everything goes with news. Another one I'm looking at is Apple. I'm trying to look at Apple down at that 244 to 245 level to get into a call option overnight. I kind of did the same thing yesterday. I think I bought it down here. I think I bought it at that 244, and then we opened up really green, and I was able to sell my call option at market open. But with that being said, I do recommend having your patience with Apple and having your buy and sell targets. Always have a plan when you invest. Don't just buy a call option just to buy it, So I do recommend having your patience with this one. But with that being said, I am trying to see if it falls down even more because we were kind of bearish, but we kind of tested that VWAP. So we might test it again and then maybe break past it and or test it again, break down a little bit lower. I might look at that 245 for a call option today, but you never know how it's going to open up. I'm going to get a 2-weeker for this one. I do not recommend getting a 1-week call option at all, but if you want to get into that, not too bad. I think a few days ago I was saying that Amazon was very bearish, and as you guys can see, we're still bearish with the stock overall. You could have made some decent money if you had that put option over a couple of weeks or a couple of days, sorry. But with that being said, we are still pretty bearish with Amazon, but honestly, I don't recommend getting into a put option. We held that 222 pretty strong. We might be able to break below that 222 and make even more lows, but honestly, this is one of those plays that you might be a little bit too late to get into that bearish trend. With that being said, we do still got like decent gaps to fill downwards, but not too many. Like we might be able to see it at that 216, maybe even 220 level, but honestly, I'd be very, very patient with Amazon because you never know, because Amazon is still a decent stock. Another one that's pretty bearish is Google. As you guys can see, overall has been pretty falling, but we've been kind of consolidating a little bit around these two levels of 189 to 183. We're kind of consolidating between these, so you can probably just buy like a call option at that 183. and then go up to that 189 and then sell it. But honestly, I recommend having patience with Google, because we might honestly make a breakthrough either up or down. So just see which level or which way it goes, because we got gaps to fill both ways. So if we go down, we got the gap all the way down to that 166 and even that 180 level to fill downwards. And then to fill upwards, of course, you get that 208 gap and or that 200 gap. I think 200 to the upside is a little bit more better to look at, but we do got gaps to fill both ways. So just be very, very patient with Google. That being said, like we said earlier, we did hit that, or sorry, my apologies, I'm fucking up. But we are kind of testing another key level with Bitcoin. If we can break the 98 or 99,000, honestly, the 99,000 level, if we break that 99,000, of course, we're probably going to see 100,000 once again. If we see 100,000, stocks like iBit, Coinbase, all of these are going to be looking decent. But if you guys do want a good stock to follow Bitcoin, it will be iBit. I do recommend seeing how it tests that 100K though, because we might get that 100K and then bounce off again and then probably get down to the lows again. And that's where you can buy that put option for iBit. I do recommend getting a few weeks in advance if you guys do get options with iBit, just because, you don't want to lose a lot of money. You want to give it some time. Bitcoin takes a little bit of time, but at the same time, it can move pretty fast too, but with that being said, MSTR, I've been looking at decent levels of MSTR. I think I said my play the other day, I think 2 days ago or yesterday, I said what play I made, but basically, actually, I think it was yesterday, we bought it at the lows of 317. And then we sold it when market opened at 327. I honestly had bigger hopes of it hitting like 330 to that 338 level, but still like that 317 to like a $10 move overnight isn't too bad. I'm not even gonna lie. So maybe we could see it fall a little bit more and buy another one. I think I'm gonna try to get into like a 320 call option if we can hit those lows before market close. But if not, it's okay. But I do recommend looking at MSTR for the way Bitcoin moves. Bitcoin is moving pretty decently, but MSTR isn't moving as strong, because honestly, I think Bitcoin, like overall, with all the levels that we met with Bitcoin, because previously, once it hit 100K, you've seen MSTR at 500. But with that being said, I think since we're breaking new highs and we're having more of a level, I think we have to get like that 108 to get 400. Like if you want to see MSTR back at that 400 level, I think we need at around maybe 105, maybe that 105 level now. But previously, I think as the highs gets broken, you need higher levels for MSTR to move pretty strong. Same thing with Coinbase. Coinbase is currently falling still, but we are kind of green today. But honestly, like I think you just need Bitcoin to move a bunch and investor sentiment to be high in the crypto market. So keep that on your mind. But that being said, thanks for watching the video. Smash the like button, subscribe if you guys are new. Hit those post notifications. I try to give out plays, I try to give out news, and I try to give out everything that you may need for the stock market, especially for the next day, and give you guys some tips and tricks on what's happening with the market. If you guys, benefited a little bit, all I ask for in return is that like button to be hit, and maybe share with a friend so they can benefit, and also smash that sub button. We're trying to get 1,000 subs by, next month. I don't know if we can, but thanks for watching. Peace out.